I have the pleasure to welcome our guest today, Dr. Piotr Kubkowski from Warsaw. He arrived today to us, and and also I welcome you all that you come and to enjoy this private lecture today. So, my name is Elisabeth Katzi. I am a member of the Pilecki team here in Berlin, and I had the chance to create with some colleagues this programs to the exhibition Doppelt Frei or Liberated Twice. I hope you had the chance to visit it. The small exhibition is very, very interesting. If not, I can only recommend to do this in the next days or next time when we have the next lecture. You can enjoy the guided tour. So our accompanying series of this events deal with author rather unknown and forgotten women's biographies in Polish history. Last time we heard by Hanna Radziejowska about the fascinating lives of famous Polish pilots. It was especially Wanda Modlibowska, Pelagia Majewska or Jadwiga Piłsudska. And especially the Jadwiga Piłsudska, it was the daughter of Józef Piłsudski, father of the Second Polish Republic, so very famous person. And thus, especially this part of the history, of the biography, it was also reason that this famous biographies was forgotten after the Second War, because it was not this part of the history in Poland. Yeah, in our lecture, today by Piotr Kubkowski, we heard about the next forgotten history, so famous person Maria Jadwiga Strumff. And now you can ask, who was this lady and how did the information about her so to the public? Maria Jadwiga Strumff was baptized Jew who had just moved from Piotrków. It was a small city in the East Poland to Warsaw, and she was left by her husband from one day to the other, and having to raise for 4 children by herself. And it was also the reason that she started to work. And about this history will be her. It was not so typical biography in the end of the 19th century. Now, so in 21st century, it's completely common to work for women, but not 100 years ago. And how get all information to the public? It was also so random that the great-grandson son of Maria Strumff visited 2004 in the museum, so small museum in Warsaw, in Wola Museum, and he donated the transcription of his great-grandmother to the museum, and it was the transcription of these memories of this diary. It was never published. It was first time that so more person except the family saw these memories, and it was the inspiration for a small exhibition in Wola Museum, and after also for publication. For example, this small booklet, it's only in Polish, but after, if you're interested, you can look. And now, before we start, I come to the person of our speaker today in the evening, Piotr Kubkowski. In this time, he worked also in Wola Museum.
I just collaborated.
Yeah, or collaborated.
Yeah.
And it was this.
It was only on the purpose of this small exhibition about Maria Jadwiga Strumff. So.
Genau. And you had the possibility to co-create this small exhibition and after to co-publish and edit this booklet. And Mr. Kubkowski is the culture expert and culture historian, specializing in the period at the turn of the 19th and 20th century. He deals with the cultural history of tourism, travel, sports, and the body and the urban culture. And he defended also in this topic his doctoral thesis. Yeah, and now we are very excited to hear more about the Maria Jadwiga Strumff, so the self-made woman and her memoirs.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you very much for this kind introduction, and hello, good afternoon. So it's really a pleasure to be in Berlin as usual, and also here this is my first visit in Pilecki-Institut in Berlin. So it's really nice to be here also, and thank you for the invitation and for this possibility of participation in this meeting, in this event, and also thank you for the opportunity to present, to tell you some stories, some thoughts about Maria Jadwiga Strumff. One of the first masseuses in Warsaw, of course, but also in Central Europe, in Middle Europa, and also an author of scandalous and also very, very insightful memoirs, which are entitled in Polish, because she wrote it in Polish, Spostrzeżenia nad ludźmi. So I will tell you after how to translate it and what's inside. And at the very beginning, I would like to present this my lecture, the table of content. So we will start with a sketch of biography of Maria Jadwiga Strumff. Then I will propose taking a look at the general perspective, the general panorama of Warsaw at the turn of the 19th and 20th centuries. Then next we will return to Maria Jadwiga Strumff's memories, and we will look at what the text tells us about the bodily customs of Warsaw inhabitants and bodily culture of that period. And as a conclusion, from a cultural historical perspective, which is my methodological perspective, we will draw attention to several features of Maria Jadwiga Strumff's biography and her memories that that make them a unique object of research and an exceptional source of information about that period, about that era. So let's start by this biographical sketch. Maria Jadwiga Strumff was born in Piotrków, which sometimes in English German is called Peterkov, which is, as Elizabeth told us before, a medium-sized city. It's south from Łódź and in southwest of Warsaw. It's like 150 kilometers from Warsaw. And at the time it was the capital of a province of Piotrkowskaja gubernia, which also included Łódź. So it included, in the late 19th century, it included a city which was much bigger than Piotrków itself. Maria Jadwiga was born as the fifth and as the youngest child into an assimilated family of Schanzer. So Jewish family, a family of doctors, of physicians, were living in Poland really for generations, and quite famous family. As the the daughter of this relatively wealthy and extremely respected physician, Stanisław Szancer, and as a girl from a good home, Maria Jadwiga received a very good education, enriched with traveling and learning foreign languages. She spoke French very well, which was still standard in good Polish families. At the age over 20, by the will of her family, she is married off to a Warsaw merchant, Piotr Strumff, and she moves to Warsaw. And as the wife of this wealthy man, she runs a large house in Warsaw and gives birth to 4 children. In fact, she gives birth to 3 children, and as she awaits the birth of the last of them, of the 4th, her husband Hippolyte goes bankrupt and flees from his creditors abroad. And he left Maria Jadwiga alone without notice, with 4 children. Here, in 1891, she begins to make revolutionary decisions about her life, and here our story begins. Maria Jadwiga and her children convert to Catholicism in the All Saints Church, this church at the Grzybowski Square, which is at the border of this Jewish and Polish Warsaw in the era, and this is also the church of many converts from Jewish from Judaism to Christianity, and this is also quite interesting place. This church is also today. It's like 200 meters, I think, from Nożyk synagogue. So very famous and one of these resistant synagogues in Warsaw. And around 1891, she took up professional work in a very unusual profession. She started the practice of massage, quite innovative in the fantasy Europe. On the one hand, this choice was not obvious because the work of a masseuse in the era of Victorian morality was not obvious, aroused rather ambiguous associations. On the other hand, Maria Jadwiga had gained some medical knowledge from her doctor's home, which helped her in her self-education. And she worked as a masseuse until at least 1908. We don't really know if she worked longer or if she stopped at that year. This is the year of finishing her memories, and this is the end of the story we know. After that, we know only some things about her life. We know she lived at 40 Złota Street, so really in the center of Warsaw, and in her last years at 25 Mirna Street, under the care of her youngest son. We know that she became a very strange woman, a very difficult woman. That's what we know from her family. Narration. Okay, so let's leave our masseuse emancipated out of necessity and take a closer look at the city in which she lived. A city that also wanted to emancipate a little bit. Warsaw City as such was not of interest to Maria Jadwiga Strumff. And at the same time, her practice as a masseuse involved visiting many places, which I will show here, and confronting urban contrasts, ethnic, moral, wealth, and class. To understand them, we need to look at the spaces in which these conflicts took place. So, At the turn of the 19th and 20th centuries, Warsaw was a city of many paradoxes. It modernized at a pace only slightly slower than other largest European metropolises. By the end of the century, the number of inhabitants approached 1 million, and on the streets, in addition to Polish, Yiddish, German and Russian, let's underline that every poster, every public sign, maybe it's not very well visible, but you can see this is bilingual sign, bilingual writing here, inscription here. One could also hear, so it has to be, every sign had to be in Cyrillic, in Russian. And we can also hear languages of other newcomers from around the world, most often French and English. And despite 100 years of state decline, Poles considered this city to be the capital. However, in the eyes of the Russian administration, its status did not differ very much from the provincial city, from the status of provincial city such as Piotrków. What mattered eventually to the Russians was its, so Warsaw's defensive value. Warsaw was a huge fortress and an important garrison city in the western part of the empire. And I'm telling this to you because for a certain reason, because this is a story of a city which is almost which population grows up to 1 million in the last years of 19th century, almost, and it's closed in very small area, and this is why it's so crowded. Some writers, for example, Żeromski or Prus, very famous writers, wrote about Warsaw that it was like a Japanese leg, which cannot expand, cannot grow. It grows inside. Yeah, so this was really dense, really crowded city. Just to tell you that today Warsaw is like much bigger than this part, which is here on this area, and it's like I don't know, 1.5 million, I didn't, or almost 2 million inhabitants, and this small area was almost 1 million inhabitants. So it's really, the difference is really huge, and. So the city was surrounded by this double ring of forts, which still influences its development to this day. Meanwhile, it made Warsaw unable to expand territorially despite the dynamic population growth. For defense reasons, it was not allowed to build tall buildings outside the city limits. So outside today's Śródmieście, today's central part of Warsaw, and it was not allowed at all to build from other materials other than wood. And you can see it here. This is today's Plac Unii Lubelskiej, quite elegant place. And this is the border, this is the frontier of the city. And here you have really tall tenement houses, tenement buildings. And here, this is the frontier of the city. Maybe it's not so evident in this photograph, but you could see a really small wooden cottage or hut on the other side of the street. And it's not because it was so naturally. It was administrative decision who did this. So it's you can see it this process here. Okay, and we also see strong contrasts between the rich buildings of streets such as Marszałkowska or Mokotowski Square, just the previous photograph, and popular districts such as Jewish Nalewki Street or Workers workers, small trade, Nalewki Street, and workers po Wiśle, so Solec Street, which is pictured here. This Solec is on po Wiśle, so it was like the outskirts of the industrial area of Warsaw. In the very heart of Warsaw, the Russian administration marks its dominance with elements of Eastern architecture. An example is the certainly shortest-lived church in Warsaw, so Alexander Nevsky Sobor and its tower here, which was built, as you can see, in years 1894-1912 and demolished just after the Great War in 1924-26. So it was really the shortest life of such a huge church, I think, in 20th century history of Poland. And right next to it, sorry, not this button. Right next to this church, to this Sobor, Alexander Nevsky Sobor, you have the Saxon Palace and the Saxon Garden, which is really quite posh place. I would say very elegant, very populated, very frequented by high society of Warsaw. These are the contrasts, and you have also this theater here. And speaking of theater, please allow me to point out how important role theatrical life played in Polish culture of that period. So theater life was not subject to censorship to the same extent as other spheres of activity, for example, press or literature. And so you have this huge national Grand Theatre here, and really many small garden theatres. This one in Krasiński Garden, and this one in Dolinka Szwajcarska, the Swiss Valley. So really small little park in this governmental area of Warsaw, of today's Warsaw. And I mentioned this theatre life and this milieu of actors and actresses because it was also the milieu of Maria Jadwiga Strumff. And so let's see what's inside her memories. What tell us a little bit about this bodily culture of Warsaw of this turn of 19th and 20th century. So what mattered most to Maria Jadwiga was how the social amalgam of the metropolis influenced human characters and behavior, especially cultural bodily practices. To take a closer look at this question, let's say a few words about what her memories actually are or were. I myself worked on the transcription prepared by Maria Jadwiga's grandson Tadeusz, who was mentioned already, and on the manuscript that was donated to the Museum of Warsaw around 2015. It's only a few dozen pages in print, so as you can see this exemplar here, probably completed written in 1908. The short and dense text is written in a style critical of the author herself, her family, and also society. Maria Jadwiga herself gave it the title Spostrzeżenia nad ludźmi, Observations on People, and emphasized in several places that her intention was to analyze and interpret human behavior. For this purpose, she creates a collection of human characters, a kind of And so she describes the representatives of the communities she comes into contact with as clients. So, for example, high society, aristocrats, bourgeoisie, also actors and actresses, sex workers and kept women, students, merchants, and this all, how to say, professions or types of human were from really several nationalities, mainly Polish, Jewish, and Russian, but we can also find some mentions about little French kept women, or rather girls, or English tourists who came to Warsaw and became once or twice clients of Maria Jadwiga Strumff. When it comes to body culture at the turn of the 19th century, several Strumpff's observations particularly draw our attention. First of all, it's how she broke rules imposed on girls in good families. So that's what's written here. She preferred boys' sports and games than instead of playing with dolls. Of course, it's quite usual type of emancipation in late 19th century. But also, let's see this absolutely amazing, in my opinion, language of Maria Jadwiga Strumff. There are some Polish speakers here. Igłowstręt, so this feminine needle phobia, which she tells about. She tells about herself. That was her feature, igłowstręt. Also, what we find here is very extraordinary auto-definition of Maria Jadwiga. We would say today auto-definition as queer identity. We find here also perhaps one of the earliest in Western culture auto-definitions as third sex. So here is the quotation. Należę widać do tej płci trzeciej. So I belong, as you see, to this third sex, to this third gender, maybe sex, and some others equally interesting. Another gender. I made no difference. It makes no difference to me between a woman and a man. I saw myself so handicapped by nature that I belonged to the ugly sex, etc. And thirdly, we should underline the how the taboo of lesbian erotic relationship is broken here. Contextual research, for example, including entries in the scrapbook of Maria Jadwiga's children, allowed us to identify several of the masseuse's companions, including the most respected Gabriela Zapolska, a famous actress and writer of the epoch, author of Moralność Pani Dulskiej, really famous piece of theater. And here you have also some other quite well-known actresses, Madame Klucka and Madame Szablowa, but not so prominent as Gabriela Zapolska, of course. And finally, the very choice of a masseuse's profession is intriguing. For example, in London at that time, some masseuses provided hetero and homosexual sex services under the guise of their services. However, everything indicates that this was not Maria Jadwiga's open intention. At the same time, some of her clients who associated massage with a kind of erotic foreplay expected this sort of behavior from her. probably in the restrictive Victorian times, the mere exposure of the body, the mere touch could cause greater arousal than today. So we have to know it or think about it. Once again, I quote, I found out that I have tempting eyes and electricity so much in hand that my touching was dangerous to women and men. End of quote. So there are really many testimonies, really many signs of this physical contact between her skin and the skin, and the belly and the faces, but also legs, hands, parts of our body which were in this period normally covered. So it's really something amazing to have it to not just imagine that it happened, but also to read it explicitly. Okay, so we come to the conclusion. Once again, what makes Maria Jadwiga Strumpff's text and biography so unique and worthy of attention. So the memories are so hermetic and so explicit at the same time. This is really something that to Polish language speakers or readers, rather, it would be quite easy to see if you just open this book in these parts of Maria Jadwiga's memories. So this is very interesting. The second point is they are really still so unknown. So Elizabeth told us she's a little bit forgotten. We could say she was forgotten, or maybe she was just remembered by her grandson or a small circle of her family. But in general, apart from this little publication in, I think, 80s or 70s, which was prepared by her grandson, who was quite prominent journalist in communist era in Polish People Republic. There was no sign and no knowledge about this woman, this person, and it restarted in 2015 when in Muzeum Woli, in Wola Museum. Wola is the western district of Warsaw, which Hanna Nowak-Lodziejowska, so today's director of Pilecki-Institut, was at the head of the board, and we prepared together, also with Anna Banaś, this little exhibition, Pamiętnik masażystki, so this masseuse memories and intimate spaces of Warsaw of the turn of 19th and 20th century. It was really small exhibition, and it was quite loud, I would say. So really journalists, people, students also were interested in this text. And after in 2021 we published this book, Spostrzeżenia nad ludźmi, szczere wyznania masażystki, which are in fact in half the real text, the very text of Maria Jadwiga Strumff, and in the first half we provided with some introductions of Joanna Kubicka, Igor Piotrowski, Małgorzata Litwinowicz-Droździar, and mine, about some, how to say, cultural historical context. So that's how it restarted. Okay. So another thing, it's just put you here some pictures from massage guides or manuals from the epoch, from the late 19th century. So that's the reason is simple gossipy curiosity. The text is so scandalous, even by today's standards, and it also reveals the intimate secrets of famous people, just as Gabriela Zapolska. And the last argument is something that I confirm as a historian dealing with the Warsaw of this era. There is really no other source that could reveal the intimate details of the life of the city as effectively as the memories of Maria Jadwiga Strumff do. So yeah, that would be the last argument here, and also the last part of my conclusion. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much for this fascinating lecture about this unknown self-made woman. Before we start with the question, I have one question. How was during the exhibition? You had a lot of publicum, so visitors in this exhibition, a lot of interested persons from Warsaw or from this district close to the museum. And now, in this time, after 100 years, change something or a lot in this topic? It's more interest, or it's also from this point of view?
No, I wouldn't say it's more popular now. It's popular in some circles. So as a teacher, as an academics teacher, we analyze it with students every year during our classes of 19th century culture, bodily culture, because that's my topic, and they are really. This is absolutely the hottest one, the hottest meeting, and students also always want to write about it. And I told them, okay, but what else do you want to write about it? And they are searching some new points, and especially this queer perspective. So this queer character feature of Maria Jadwiga is something really new, and I would say it's not only the Polish perspective, it could be in a European perspective, like to have such a testimony from this year, such explicit testimony. On the other hand, it would be really difficult to translate it in another language, because it's really sometimes hard to understand, and it's really dense even for Polish speakers and for people who read the 19th century texts. So yeah, but maybe it's affordable, and. But this moment of the exhibition in 2015, it was really we really presented it many times in some newspapers, in radios, and that would be all. but really, I remember 4 times we were with Hania Radziejowska in some local, and once also in national-wide broadcast. So yeah, it was really a moment of Maria Jadwiga Strumff, I would say.
And it was because Maria Jadwiga Strumff, or her biography, or this topic, it was new?
I think it was also the moment of I would say last decade is a little bit decade of this late 19th century histories. So it's also a history of rediscovering this period in, for example, Warsaw, where only some parts of the city you can find this 19th century Warsaw, and people are really looking for such histories from this period. I think it's also a general phenomenon. For example, so many TV shows, series about this late 19th century, about this, I don't know, London prostitutes, sex workers, and some criminals, and doctors, of course, the Nick, or German series Charité, about this Berlin hospital, and so on. So this bodily culture was very much à la mode, I would say, and so that was also this moment, and the other thing was this queer personality, queer identity of Maria Jadwiga, so an obvious person.
And she was so very unique person in this period, or when you
she was very unique to tell us about herself.
Probably, sorry, probably I expressed this wrong. It's my fault, but in your or during your research for this book or for the exhibition, you find some similar person, or
of course we may found in this dandy culture, for example, rather men than women in early 19th century in English culture, for example. We can find some features of this sometimes I would say Juliusz Słowacki is analyzed in this queer perspective, for example, but also Maria Konopnicka with her, but it's queer in sense of lesbian story, of lesbian part of her of her life, and not with this so much exposed third sex auto-definition, which was here.
Thank you. So now probably you have a question. So
yes, I would like to understand more the landscape of massage in Warsaw, generally speaking. So it was popular job or not?
No, she was one of first. At first, I thought she was the first, but after I found another woman who was before her, and if she starts at 1981, she would be her practice in Warsaw would be before the first publication of manual of massage in Polish language, but these publications are really some 3 or 4 in late 90s of 19th century. So it becomes popular. Massage has a status of it's like balneotherapy or something. So it's some doctors, some physicians advise their patients to do this treatment beside of regular medicine. So it has you don't have to study. You have to learn a little bit how to do it. So I think Maria Jadwiga, as a daughter of a good physician, she really could have been a good masseuse, but you never know. And we know she left some remarks about some French newspapers and some guides and some manuals in French. She bought to herself, and it was sent to her, and so she was from this French, I would say, branch of this phenomenon. And there is also this Scandinavian part of massage, which is much more how to say, difficult. It was practiced rather by men, more manual and less, how to say, cosmetic. Maybe so. This massage, this French school of massage, was which Maria Jadwiga was adept. It was more like sometimes it was face massage, for example. So I think you can think about something like from this beauty. How to say in English? Yeah, beauty treatment or something, yeah, and not health treatment, yeah.
And do we have any knowledge from the other side? I mean, some sources from clients? Probably not, but
from
clients.
No, not at all. Well, no, in fact, there is much more in her diaries, memories. There is much more information about how she looks at the people and sometimes how she touches them than about this medical side of the phenomenon, of the practice. We know that Gabriela Zapolska had a very good opinion about Maria Jadwiga Strumff, but not as a masseuse, but as a woman to talk about things and to talk about people. So yeah, she had to be also a good psychologist, yeah, and listener maybe. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for such interesting lecture. And I wanted to ask what exactly Maria Jadwiga Strumff was writing about her clients. What special descriptions she was using, or maybe she was analyzing them in a queer perspective. What actually, what is special about her descriptions?
So, just to maybe I should start with this. It's really hard to tell you some details about it if you are not Polish Polish speaker. It's she changes.
I speak Polish.
Okay, so you can maybe you should try to read it. She changes person about which she writes from one sentence to another. So it's really hard to know which one is the object of her interest in this sentence and when it changed. It's on the other hand, we have some signs of this typology, of this collection of people, of characters, and it's very much like, I don't know, Comédie Humaine of Balzac or something, when people try to collect all these modern types of men, of human being in their work. So she tries to understand, but sometimes it's not about one, I don't know, actress or client or another, but it's about one feature, one character, one type of her character, or also of beauty, because she's also very interested in how human body becomes old, and how you expose it and how you try to cover it. And so she's very interested in our underwear, and this is how she tries to catalog people, also make this typology, because she writes about some poor people, or maybe not very poor because they were not her clients, but more modest people who were whose underwear was in good shape and good, and some really rich people of bourgeoisie which were not in this hygienic, good shape, and underwear. So it's really interesting, and it's very complicated, let's say.
Maybe I can comment also, because I read the book, and what is very special, she writes about behaviors and expectations of the people, which they don't want to show publicly, which they tell only the masses, which is somebody like somebody from family, or some, like, you can show your weak sides, your
to expose yourself.
What you think it's maybe not very beautiful or something like that, you know. So it's really like you can have a look into this intimate side of a person.
Yeah, I would say if she was sociologue, she would be Erving Goffman. So she writes a lot about how people are naturally and how they put some masks, some clothes on them, some poses, some sorts of behavior, and how they act in their life, and how they prepare their everyday performance. Yeah, so it would be like this.
So I also have a question, because it is written in anonym form, as she would think it could be published.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that she thought about this, and do you think it would be possible to publish this in her times when she was?
Absolutely no. So it wouldn't be possible to publish it in Poland. No. And I think nowhere in 1908 in this form. If I don't know if maybe she had. I'm not sure. I really thought about it very much. How if she was thinking about publishing it, or about this perspective of this text being published in really far future. I don't know. Maybe. For some reason she wrote it because I didn't want to complicate this topic, but she wrote it twice, and we even don't know which version was the first. One is very short and one is longer, and we don't know if this is the shortened version of this longer version, or it was a sort of notes, and on this base she elaborated this stuff, these histories. It's absolutely impossible to discover this. I tried to consultate with some people who specialize in diaries, memories, and so on, and they didn't know. But the very fact she wrote it twice is about, I think, she was thinking about some readers, but I don't know if it would be like readers from public readers or readers from, I don't know, her family or something. On the other hand, her family was pictured very critically, so it would be also quite difficult. She wrote about her children, but in a way, we could imagine that she didn't really want them. So it's maybe today it's quite normal for a woman to say that openly, but in that era I wouldn't say it was so obvious.
Maybe this is a comment because I was thinking about taboos, and I read a lot of Ukrainian theatrical pieces from 19th century, and I was surprised because there are subjects which for me now it's like taboo. For example, the violence of men against women.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot, and it's very open described in these pieces, and it's also like kazirodztwo is
adultery. No, adultery. Yeah, sorry.
Yes, and the pieces were played on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, wow, maybe we are like something changed. I don't know. It's,
yeah.
It's just a comment. Maybe it was not such a taboo to talk about this in 19th century because there was more violence against women.
So, of course, as a woke culture, we are not so open to speak of many things, and but they are more, how to say, understandable. And even if it's not obvious to talk about it in public sphere or to name it by certain names, and today we have to find some new language to name some things. They are obvious to us. We have some, I don't know, documentaries about it and so on. So, for example, with violence, masculine violence to women, it's something maybe you could not, as a man, I could not admit I did it, but it's documented much better than before, maybe, like this, something like this. And here, I think what's very special about Maria Jadwiga, it's that many of these intimate things, she writes it about herself and her life, and she writes it really openly. And it's not like, I don't know, in Stendhal or on Proust, and sometimes we know, they are lesbians or they are gays, something. It's, yeah, you can find it in 19th century novels, but never in I did it. It was so strong to me when I touched her. And she writes such things, so this is, for me, this is very, very special. This and I think I couldn't imagine any other text where it's so openly told about the author self. Yeah.
Okay. Last question. Or yeah, you are too fast.
Thank you for I learned that Warsaw was in this time a large city, and sometimes, as I'm a Berliner, I say I'm from the little metropole between Paris and Warsaw. I think that's true. The culture of getting baths and getting massage, I think it's more old. It's from the Romans 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Also, I think in Berlin we get at this time, beginning of the last century, when large houses were founded, where you could go there to get a bath, to get a massage. Is this time, or did she has a little shop or something like this?
Mm-hmm.
And
sorry, let's.
Then also the question: is it more massage with a medical indication, or it's a more social indication? And also, I think the coiffeur does get also a lot of personal information during the So it's fantastic to learn so much about from a real society from this time.
Yeah. I could say a very general remark that many phenomenons have their original or ancient origins, and for example sport, that was my topic also of my doctoral thesis, and some sports historians, they start with Greek Olympics and Romans and the sport in Spain and all these popular ball games and so on, and after they come to football. But no, there's something really new, really modern, when people in England meet and write, how how to say, some rules of this new discipline, and then they impose it to many clubs in all over Europe. And after these clubs from Barcelona, Bern, Berlin, Warsaw, Lviv, and Stockholm can meet and play the same game. This is something really new, and that's why I call it the second birth of sport. And I would say, maybe this is not really my topic, the massage, but I would say massage was something like this, but it was reinvented in late 19th century by some physicians and some, I don't know, researchers from Scandinavia and France and somewhere in Europe, and they tried to codify its modern form, and this is what we have it here. So if we say she was the first masseuse or the second one or something in Europe, we are speaking about this modern form of this practice. Yeah, that would be my perspective.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so I actually have two questions. So my first question would be about the religion. So you said she was originally Jewish, but at some point in her life she converted to Catholicism. And what was the reason for that? Was that a phenomenon that was very popular in Warsaw at that time? Or was the Christian culture maybe a bit more liberal than Judaism? Mm-hmm. So I'll be interested to learn about that. And my second question would be about the future, so to say. So we have, as you said, we also have other queer testimonies from Polish people from that period. Is there a plan, maybe kind of like to group it together, to present it? Like, is there anyone who could be in charge of that? We had a change of government in Poland, so maybe that would also be more positively seen from that perspective. So I would just be curious to get to know your opinion about that.
Okay, thank you. So the first question is not really clear, but I think your second answer is right. So as Jewish, she couldn't touch people in this way as she could as a Christian, from his former point of view. She was not Jewish in this Orthodox way. Also, her father, Stanisław Szancer, who really, his first name is Stanisław, so it's really very well family in Polish culture. If this Jewish doctor has this name in mid 19th century, and what we know about him is that at his funeral, which was Jewish funeral, also Christian people and Christian priests came in Piotrków, and it was really unusual. It was not really usual to Jewish doctors to have Christian patients, and to Christian patients to have Jewish doctors have Christian patients. So it's they were quite well already integrated in Polish culture, and I think religion was not of great interest for Maria Jadwiga, nor Judaism nor Christianity, but I think she had to be Christian, for example Catholic, and she did it like in the simplest way maybe, to cooperate with some hospitals, Christian hospitals, because from this organizational point of view, she couldn't work near or be advised as a masseuse by Christian doctors if she was Jewish. So this is the argument, the second argument. And your second question about queer archives or queer panorama of Polish culture, it's being done point by point, but especially for more today's phenomena, and for his 19th century, a good work is done by Women's Archive. This is the name, Archiwum Kobiet in Polish Academy of Science, where researchers they also put this diary of this memories of Maria Jadwiga Strumff in their collection, and they really search for not only women perspective but also for queer perspective. So I think this is where it starts. If it would emancipate in some other institution or collection or something, I don't know, maybe. I don't know also if we have such a need, because if it's separate, we underline this line, this border between queer and non-queer people. So maybe if it's just people archive, or it's a better idea. I don't know. I'm not in this specialty, so.